Hello and welcome to another Sonic without defeating a Badnik. We're coming back to 2D Sonic once again to take a look at Sonic Jam. This is a collection of the mainline Genesis games Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic & Knuckles. Even better is that Knuckles and Sonic 2 is playable with the game's lock-on feature. Not only that, but there's also the inclusion of this 3D area called Sonic World, which contains a bunch of cool extras for fans. My personal favorite is this Man of the Year animation, but enough about that. Let's get into the rules. In this playthrough, I'm not allowed to destroy a Badnik, and doing so will require me to restart the level. Bosses and sub-bosses must be defeated to continue the game, so they never count. The challenge comes to an end when I either complete the challenge or give up. Sonic Jam does not contain emulated versions of the Genesis games, as they have been rewritten to work with the Sega Saturn hardware. Speaking of, I'm going to have to apologize for the not-so-sharp footage. I don't have the proper cables to get the best picture, so I hope you don't mind some S-video footage. Are we cool with that? Anyways, enough stalling, it's time to ask the important question. Can you beat Sonic Jam without defeating a Badnik? Wait, what's this? Oh, I didn't sign up for this. So this is Sonic Jam on Game.com. It's a compilation of 3 games based on the Sega Genesis titles, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Sonic & Knuckles. Game.com was a handheld made by Tiger Electronics, that company behind those low-quality handheld games based on the good ones. Well, most of them were good ones. Same rules apply, so I'm going to give it a shot. We're going to go through the games with the release order of the games these are based on, so Sonic 2, Sonic 3, then Sonic & Knuckles. Now that we have all that confusion out of the way, let's begin. We're starting, right? No fake out to some other version I'm not aware of? Emerald Hill Zone Act 1 starts with me grabbing a few rings and making a mad dash forward until I run into a spring. From there, I just keep running forward to avoid the buzz bombers. One ramp and one spring later, I ran through this loop and corkscrew. This is where I dashed like a maniac and damage boosted through this section of 3 coconuts to finish Act 1. Act 2 starts off a bit tricky since there are no rings within reach, so I ran forward. Going through these moving platforms is kinda tough because I can be sniped at any point by the buzz bombers. With careful timing, I make it through to this cave area. This is where I had to jump over 2 sets of spikes, and thank goodness the physics are very forgiving and allow me to carry my momentum forward, even if I run into the side of the spikes, as long as I jump as soon as possible. After the spring and corkscrew, I figured I should go for more rings just to play it safe. That didn't last long. One loop, a set of spikes, followed by another loop, and I'm at another platforming section. Adjusting the camera is key here, and the final jump is harder since you jump on a slope. But it doesn't take too much to get through and get hit by a coconut. Once that's done, I get to the first boss with 2 rings. After a few hits, the egg poison goes down to finish Act 2. At the start of Act 3, I made a ballsy move and jumped on the sloped platform to grab a few rings. Then I ran into a coconut. Thankfully, there were 2 sets of springs that got me pretty far. Even after running through another coconut, I didn't leave that part empty-handed as I left with 6 rings. One more coconut, a loop, and a corkscrew later, and yeah, that's getting tiresome to say, but this was my strategy. Now, I waited for this one to go up, but the monitor made it tough to stand, so I fell back to the foot of the coconut. This next part is going to require a leap of faith as there are 2 buzz bombers down below. Somehow my jump hits nothing, and I'm free to fight the egg hammer to finish Act 3. Act 4, what? Anyways, Act 4 starts off pretty easy. Run, grab some rings, and then damage boost past the masher because I forgot it was there. Now, we get to make 3 tricky jumps on these platforms. The first one was pretty easy, but the other jumps on or towards moving platforms are blind jumps since the camera isn't that high up. The last one is the worst since you need to judge where the platform will stop rising. After that, the game decides to scare the crap out of me when I can't make it up the slope. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, shit. Okay, we're good. From here, I weave through the coconut and it's coconut, so I can grab the ring monitor. After the 2 buzz bombers, oh, it's just the egg drillster. Now it's the broken down egg drillster. With that, Sonic 2 is complete. So, can you beat Sonic 2 without... I'm just kidding, let's move on. Angel Island Zone Act 1 doesn't have much in the way at the start, with the exception of this Rhinobot. From here, I use the spring to hop onto a higher place, and a pair of Bluminators. And would you look at that? It's a very slow zipline. Yay. It's a shame it screwed up my jump. A little further down and I had to take some damage so I can jump over this rock and not hit the Rhinobot. After that, I run through this big tree and make it to the devastation of Act 1, apparently. I'll give him credit for trying. Act 2 begins with a mad dash to the wall and past a checkpoint. From there, I landed on this ledge, but used the spin dash to narrowly miss the spikes. I did need to damage boost past this Rhinobot because I didn't have the speed to hop over it. After one more drop, I ran into this Caterpillar Jr. At first, I tried to use this moving platform to go up, but the timing to the top of that movement was not happening, so I broke the floor to drop down. New problem, ceiling spikes. So now I need to make a jump, but not jump too high, if that makes any sense. I have to time the spring jump with another moving platform, which does get very annoying, but making the jump does get me out in the open now, and this is where the level design comes into question. Normally, I'd have to move right unless it's blatantly obvious that I would need to go elsewhere. I'm supposed to go left with this moving platform. I was also not supposed to damage boost the Bluminator, but what was I supposed to do here? I did grab a shield, but it seems like the Rhinobot goes through it. It doesn't matter now because we're at the Fire Breath boss to finish Act 2. Act 3 begins and I run through a checkpoint? That's level design, I guess. After falling because of the collapsing ground, I just kept running until I went into this pit of rocks and monitors. I'd bounce out of the pit, barely missing the Caterpillar Jr., and damage boost once again. With the help of this moving platform, I make a leap of faith that took me to this collapsing bridge and a cave that is much lower. Past the cave, I went into a big ring, and I was not aware there were special stages here. It didn't go well. From that failure, there is only one direction to go: up. To say it was tough to get to the next spot is being very generous to this game. It doesn't take too long to get to the end of the act, only to time out. I blame that spring. What was it that I showed up too late for? More destruction of Angel Island Zone. Yeah, the flying battery makes an appearance, like in the original game. Thankfully, there's no mini-boss here because I shouldn't have survived any of this. With that, Act 3 is over. I started Act 4 with a sprint until I went in for a leap of faith into a pit. By the way, that double bounce is from a rock and a monitor. From there, I did a bit of damage boosting, and I went over a hole to land on this collapsing bridge. Then there isn't much else except for anticipating this quickly disappearing bridge to fight the Egg Scorcher Mark III. It doesn't take too long to finish off the boss and to finish Sonic 3. I'm not reusing my joke, but do stick around, it gets interesting. At the start of Mushroom Hill Act 1, I took off, rolled under these butter droids, and then jumped over this rock that the Mad Bull was holding to grab onto this crane. I jumped to the left because of the butter droids in the way, and to avoid running into them, I decided to use the spin dash. I didn't clear this set of spikes, but it did give me the invincibility I need to clear the Mad Mole. I smacked the hat off the Mush Meanie, I don't think that's a hat, and let the spring take me forward. I am amazed at the hitboxes, or lack thereof, as I should be taking damage from the butter droids, but oh well. After a checkpoint, I go up a crane, and now it's time for the tough part: the spike with a nearby Mad Mole. To avoid defeating it, I would try to jump over it, but landed in this spike pit. Twice. On the third attempt, I figured spin dashing and jumping when the Mad Mole goes underground would be the best move I could make, which worked well. A pair of loops later, and Act 1 comes to an end. Thank goodness there were rings at the beginning of Act 2, because I desperately needed them to get past this Mad Mole. From there, I used the spring to get to another Mad Mole, and it's a good thing I can wait it out and take these rings. Now we're in a bit of a tricky area. With this, I had to jump on the edge to run where the Mad Mole appears. Then, turn around and either land on the spikes or be far enough away so I can jump and not hit the Badnik. From here, the trick is to jump over it, to maintain my speed, and clear it, instead of bonking or something. The spikes here are different than any others that I've come across, because they can damage you when you touch the side. However, it does allow for one opportunity. I can use the invincibility to run at top speed. This will allow me to go through the Mad Mole and this slope loop combo, which would be hard to pull off if I wasn't at top speed. One Mush Meanie and Dragonfly later, and we're at the Jet Mobile. With an interesting boss recreation out of the way, Act 2 is over. Act 3 starts off, and like a goof, I seem to completely forget how to go up a slope, only to then pull back a spin dash to avoid the butter droid. After this very slow slope run, I had to damage boost when there was a crowd of 3 Badniks to go through. With this spring, I was able to go at full speed to run through loops and slammed into the side of these spikes. After this, I had some bizarre lucky thing happen. After moving past the Mad Mole, I jumped on this ring monitor to avoid the butter droids, only for them to attack and send me to the top of the spike, which means I can keep going. Thanks, game! That was by accident, but now I have to do it on purpose to get through the butter droids, who are in a less than ideal place. Beyond that is the fight against the Hey-Ho, and I swear I'm not being rude. Probably. After a couple hits, Act 3 is done. Finally, Act 4. This one starts off with a challenge. This butter droid is in front of a set of spikes, and there are 0 rings in sight. Surprisingly, the solution was simple. Wait for it to move away and jump on a mushroom platform. After that, I went a bit forward to fall onto a different butter droid. And a little further down, I decided to finally despawn a Badnik. There was a very close call with this butter droid because I needed to pull back a jump, and at this point I questioned the game's physics because I was trying to take it slow only to be shot at a spring. Again, I'm thankful for it, but what the hell? Oh hey, a capsule! Oh crap, it's a capsule. And with the game's frame rate, fighting it is a bit weird, but it can be done. And with Gapsule defeated, Sonic & Knuckles comes to a close. So, can you beat Sonic Jam on Game.com without defeating a Badnik? The answer is, well, let's talk about that. Gather round, people, because I'm going to tell you about how f***ing awful this game is. This has got to be one of the absolute worst games I have ever had the displeasure of ever booting up. Let me get a few of my favorite moments. The movement is super slow, but then becomes super slippery at top speed. The jumping is pretty bad, and changes with how fast the character is going. Sometimes these jumps have to be done over bottomless pits, which is a pain because there tends to be some kind of Badnik around them, creating the potential hazard of being knocked into it. That slope and loop area, you can't really go at it at normal speed, because if you try to go at it at normal speed, you're going to be running backwards into a mad mole. And worst of all is this big tree. In Sonic 3 and Knuckles, all you had to do was hold right and you'd easily go through it, but with this, you have to try to figure out how to go at it fast enough, but you can't hold on to the D-pad because for whatever reason, it's gonna just drop you to the floor. I understand they tried to implement some of the things from Sonic 3, but this was absolute shit. And that music. I think I'd rather have the game on silent because every bit of that level music is just diabolical, and the sound effects are just as bad. F this game. Now back to the question of the video. Someone's going to pick up on it, but yes, save states were used to make this video. Anytime I finished a level, I would create a state just because of the high difficulty, thanks to the garbage controls, garbage level design, and garbage game performance. Remember the original, soon-to-be redone, Sonic 2 8-bit video where I said the high difficulty gave it a no answer, despite being able to manage through most levels? Yeah, this game's a no. So then why play the game if you're going to say no? Honestly, I came up with the idea of playing this after watching a Gilly the Kid video on Sonic games that were released on obscure handhelds. I saw Sonic Jam and thought it would be pretty funny to try this challenge because throwing people off the scent of what game I'll be playing next seems to be a thing I like to do around here. And that's a few hours and a redo that I'll never get back. Joke's on me, I guess. Hey, thanks for watching this edition of Sonic Without Defeating a Badnik. This video was quite the journey to make. That redo that I was talking about was a video that I thought I had lost. Thankfully, I was able to salvage that recording, but it was right after I did another attempt of that entire game. Anyways, if you enjoyed it, feel free to click like on the video and share it around to the people that you know. You can subscribe if you're new to the channel, and if you want to see more videos like this and other videos that I produce. There's also a notification bell icon if you want to mess with that, so you can enable notifications for community tab posts and other stuff that I post on this channel. Right now, I'd like to take a moment and thank the people whose names are scrolling on screen. These are the YouTube channel members and patrons on patreon.com/GottaBeFrank. I kind of want to call them the spicy ones, but I don't know about that. Let me know if that's a good name. I'm still workshopping that. The ones whose names are scrolling at the bottom of the screen are the $1 tier members, and the ones who are in the middle of the screen are the $5 tier members, and they are Dork in a Hat, Tactical Discord, Martin YT Plays, Gamer Entertainment TV, and Ryan Rolfs over on Patreon. If you want to support the channel with a monthly contribution, you can either use the join button or the Patreon link in the description. Both tiers get you access to videos a bit earlier, and thank you for your extra support. It is greatly appreciated. You are all awesome. You can find me on social media. Links are in the description. Have at it. As for now, I'm going to go play some good games to get over playing this whole thing. Until the next edition of Without Defeating a Badnik, I hope you all have a wonderful and safe day, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.